Welcome to Plastic Model Mojo, a podcast dedicated to scale modeling as well as the news and events around the hobby. Let's join Mike and Kentucky Dave as they strive to be informative, entertaining, and help you keep your modeling mojo alive.
Mojovia, welcome to episode 157 of Plastic Model Mojo. Kentucky Dave, the thaw has commenced.
It has indeed, although I still have a 6-foot pile of snow out in my cul-de-sac, even though it's been in the 50s and 60s for the last 4 or 5 days, man.
Well, my front house facing is north, so we're getting there, but slowly.
Gotcha.
Well, other than the rather balmy temperatures by comparison, what is up in your model sphere, Dave?
You know what? I am full of mojo. I haven't been modeling quite as much as I'd like to, but the mojo is high. There have been some modeling related stuff, purchases, etc. we'll talk about later. And I am looking forward to the contest season. Show season is swinging into full swing. Next weekend is Columbus, and Skippy and I are going to try and get there. And we're only like a month and a half from Hamilton, from Heritage Con. God, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to that. How about you?
Well, me too on that. Well, interesting. We're not there yet, but we are close enough to phase 2 initiation on the website that I have emailed our design team for the website changes and told them I want a meeting next week. And
that's great.
Get this on ice, and we can get crap together here in another month or so. We're going to pull the trigger on that, and it's going to be good. So that's my model sphere is making sure, going back through everything I've talked to them about and getting ready for this conference call to get that going, man. Excited.
We'll have to talk about that. I am excited too, because I mean, phase 1 was just getting the website out there. Phase 2 is where it really turns into something.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun.
I am looking forward to it.
So that's been my model sphere, other than, I don't know, trying to get our ship pointed the right direction. Got a lot of forward planning going on now. We're already getting the model show spotlights lined up pretty deep in the year at this point. So that's all been good. So appreciate folks reaching out on their own. Apparently they see the value in that there's value in it for them. And it just makes me happy that it's helping people out.
Yeah, we love promoting shows because, again, Mike and I are huge fans of shows and contests, getting modelers together. Because, again, I enjoy sitting at the workbench, quiet time alone at night working, but the socialization and the enjoyment that you get meeting modelers face to face at a show is just, you can't beat it. So I'm more than happy to promote upcoming shows.
And that might come up in the listener mail too. So we'll get to that in a little bit.
Well, Mike, we're recording a show, buddy. I'm hoping that
finally,
means, yeah, finally. Yeah, one of these days we're going to have to do a behind the scenes and let people know some of the struggles we go through. But struggles can be made better with modeling fluid. Do you have modeling fluid?
Probably not a good recommendation, but I do, Dave. I do have a modeling fluid.
So what do you have?
I have the flagship original series from Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Oh, yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, so more on this at the end, but that's what I got going on, and it's I'm enjoying it. But again, we'll get to the details later. What about you, man?
I walked by their storefront last night on my way with my wife to a show. Bardstown Bourbon has a storefront in downtown Louisville.
Cool. So, we'll talk about more about Bardstown Bourbon at the end. But what do you got going on?
Well, I have not a beer. I have my ice ball.
All right.
And I have Elijah Craig's small batch 1789.
All right. What gave you that wild hair, Dave?
Well, David has an ability to get some bourbons for a significant discount off of what they would cost normally. And I was able to pick this up for a price that would shock you.
It's a barrister barter deal.
No, it's I'm lucky my wife works at Trader Joe's.
Oh, okay.
Deal.
I mean, if you'd have traded some probate information for a bottle of bourbon, that'd be all right too, right?
That has happened in the past. Hopefully the IRS isn't listening to this. But yeah, I have no doubt I'm going to enjoy this, Elijah Craig. I think this is the first time I've ever had it, so we'll get to it at the end, but I'm pretty sure it'll get me through the episode.
I predict good things, folks.
I predict good things too.
Well, I predicted good things after we recorded the last episode about our call to actions and stuff for listener mail, and I was correct. This might take a little while, folks, but that's okay.
Yeah, we want that. I mean,
we want that. So we got a lot of listener mail, man.
That's good.
I don't know how many DMs you got, but I got a stack here. I actually printed them this time because I've pre-read them a couple of times.
Well, actually, we've got a number of DMs too, so it'll be good. We like this part of the show.
Well, we've got listener mail from folks like Spencer Talmadge again from Methuen, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And he just wanted to send an email to respond to Jim Bates' appearance on the last episode, man.
All right. We've gotten a lot of feedback on Jim coming on.
So if you're listening, Jim, pony up and just listen for a little while, at least till we get through listener mail.
That's right.
He wanted to say that Jim's stories about his struggles and the mental side of modeling and motivation really resonated with him. He's felt a lot the same way about modeling, especially during the last year. Fear targets, negativity, perfection being the enemy of the good, all of that felt like listening to a mirror version of himself talking about his own problems. Interesting, Dave.
Well, listen, we all think that we struggle alone and nobody else has the struggles we do. You get people talking. And again, this is one of the reasons I like getting modelers together at shows, talking and interacting, is you find out we all deal with the same stuff or much of the same stuff, you know?
I guess I know because this must be kind of cosmic. It's funny you said that because he closes with, "It's a relief to know that I'm not alone."
Yep.
Thank you for doing the episode. It was motivating and mojo positive. P.S. Closing, he's arranged his lodging for his first ever trip to Nats. So
Yay!
If we all make it, Spencer, come by the Plastic Model Mojo table and say hello.
Yes, please.
Glad that episode worked out for you.
I really like meeting guys who go to their first nationals. So Spencer, please come by the table and make a point of coming by and mentioning that it's your first one.
Well, this one actually came in ahead of that one, and I've already sent it to Jim, but this is from Paul Budzik, frequent guest on our show.
And modeler extraordinaire.
He liked what Jim had to say about never spending time looking at old builds in the display case.
Yeah.
Paul says if he didn't have models sitting on his shelves in his office or his hobby room, he'd never look at them again. And he says even when he does, they're 3 to 8 feet away. So what's the point about agonizing over every small detail unless it's what you really enjoy?
I speculate that it's a majority of modelers who the building and finishing is the fun part, that the having it and looking at it, I suspect most modelers, I mean, you may get some satisfaction because it brings memories back of the build, but I suspect that most modelers, once the model's finished and in the display case,
you're on to something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting. He says a good question to ask the group: how many people spend time scoping out and admiring their old builds? And to your point, I think, if I'm digging, I keep my projects underway when I'm taking a break and working on a different one in my display case.
Yeah.
So I go to mine probably more often than a lot of people do. And I pull one out every while and look at it, but he's not very often.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting point.
Yeah. And it's a good thing, listeners out there. I'd love to have some email from people letting me know Do you look at your finished builds often, or do you give them away when they're done? Or what's your interaction with, if any, with your finished completed builds once the finish is done and you're going to put it away because you're on to the next thing?
And are you like Dr. Paul asks, how many of you guys just put them in a box, never be seen again?
Seen again. Yeah.
He says, he guess that's fine if you have the space, but even if he did, he's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
That's why he hangs them from the ceiling and mixes them in with his books and stuff on his shelves, because he'd rather have his shop lined with built models than a bunch of unbuilt kits that outlive him, essentially.
Yeah.
Says a little dust never hurts a model.
True enough.
There you go, folks. What's next? I see these work so much better when I print these out, man. Next up from Medina, Ohio, Dave, Michael Garapic, or Garapic, I'm not sure. I probably got that wrong. We often drop the names of Dr. Dave Gelmacher, Jim Bates, and John Vickus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michael resides in Northeast Ohio and knows these guys because he was part of the IPMS John Glenn and IPMS Fame Cities.
Yep.
And he knows these guys. So he just was enjoying hearing their names again and glad they're coming up in conversation.
Well, it's amazing. That tight group of modelers started up in the Cleveland area. And today they are still in contact on the regular, as just as if they still all belong to the same club in the same location. Yet they're scattered from the Pacific Northwest to the deep South to the Rocky Mountains. It's an amazing thing. And it goes to show you, not only are we fans of shows, we're fans of clubs, because getting together with like-minded modelers on the regular, you form friendships, and those friendships last even when the club, members of the club, go their separate ways because of families, because of jobs, because of whatever. Especially in this day and age with, DMs and texts and video chats and all, you can maintain that friendship. That wasn't possible back when Mike and I were coming up in the 80s. I mean, a guy left your club.
They were gone.
Yeah, and they were gone. You might get a letter or a postcard.
Or they'll drop in one club meeting because they're back in town visiting their in-laws or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Of course, back then, people don't realize how much a long-distance call cost or the concept of long distance.
That's right. Jim had to pay for it extra.
Exactly.
We're not done with Jim Bates.
All right.
Lee Edmonds, just a note to say how pleased he was to hear that Jim Bates is back. He wondered where he'd gone, and now he knows.
Yes. And it was our bad for taking so long to get Jim back on.
Well, I think he might mean not in the context of our podcast, but a Scale Canadian TV and all the other stuff. So,
yeah, that too.
Lee says in their club or his modeling community, they call what happened to Jim a state of gaffia, getting away from it all.
Oh, okay.
Periods of loss of interest is considered a natural but perhaps sad part of the hobby. Some come back from gaffia and others do not.
Yeah.
He's pleased that Jim has.
So am I.
And he's also thinks it's great that Jim has taken time to think about why he participates in the hobby to begin with.
Yep. I do think that re-examination from time to time is not a bad idea, especially if you're at a point where you're struggling.
Another point he brings up is the topic of what am I doing to get better? He says at his age it's more of a matter of what am I doing to prevent getting unbetter?
Yeah. Hey, I feel you, man. That's a great way to describe my struggles.
Says it's not a matter for him of learning a new skill or technique, but keeping his hands in the ones he's already got, because it seems to lessen if he doesn't. And that's true.
It is.
Don't give up, Lee. There's always room, man. If you can hold the line, you can learn something new.
Yep. And it's absolutely true. I'm particularly like with airbrushing. That is something that if you don't do regularly, you lose the touch, and then you have to spend some time getting it back. So it's one reason to have one model constantly in the paint process.
Well, he also was interested in Jim's comments about writing and keeping journals, etc., writing
Yep.
notes and that sort of thing. He spends most of his day writing, so it's one of the reasons that getting to the modeling bench in the evening gets him away from the keyboard. He says he's tried to keep a journal, written types of things before, but just so you can remember what color of paint he used on the last step he built or last model he built. I run into that all the time where I just flip and forget and then got to go reinvent the wheel again.
Well, and I feel for him because I'm in the exact same boat. I'm an attorney by trade, so I spend a ton of time writing. And one of the things that the model bench for me is an escape from the keyboard where I can, and I'm doing things that they're not manual labor, but they're manual labor for the soft-handed professional. So that I can come down and work on a model and it's engaging things different from what I do in my work.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of the thread he's on here. He's tried it by hand and on computer, in a formal notes kind of taking kind of thing, and just fails every time. For him, his solution was he set up a Facebook page, which is Park Street Scale Modeling, which he posts updates of his builds, puts his paint and finish notes in the captions of photos or in his posts, and he says that's worked for him. So interesting take.
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think keeping some kind of journal or notes is, even if it's just a quick dash on some post-it notes. But I feel his pain because handwriting is not my forte either. So if you can do it in a way you don't have to decipher your own crappy handwriting a month later, that's a big advantage.
Yeah, well, many years ago, that's one of the reasons I started the blog, was simply to act kind of as a memory bank where, I could write something, post photos of something or research or whatever, so that I knew that it was there in that blog somewhere and I could go back and find it.
Good idea, man.
Yep.
Up next, Brandon Probert from Carson City, Nevada. Now, that's a cool place.
Yes, it is.
Used to be a mint there.
Yep. CC.
That's right. So they moved it out west further than that. He wants to thank us for pulling him back in the hobby after 20 years. He stopped at about age 13. Now he's 35, and he's been listening to the show. Per our namesake, he's got some mojo now.
You know what? Those are the stories that warm my heart. Somebody says, I started listening to you and it pulled me back in the hobby, or I got back in the hobby and I started listening to you and it encouraged me. That is one of the big goals of what Mike and I are doing here.
And it's not just our podcast. I think it's all the podcasts, and it's the hobby in general, which gets to his kind of closing remark in this paragraph. This gives him a bit of escape when life gets a little bit too loud.
And that's what a hobby should be, an escape. Do not let your hobby become a job. It is an escape from life.
All right, Dave. Next is Will Woods from Yorkton, Saskatchewan, home of the Snowbirds from the Royal Canadian Air Force.
Indeed.
He's got a kit suggestion.
Okay.
Gee, wonder what it's going to be.
Go ahead.
In 72nd scale, a CT 114 Tudor.
Yes.
There was one.
I have the Hobbycraft kit.
Does it really, really suck?
It doesn't suck as bad as some other Hobbycraft kits, but in no way would you consider it a modern kit. It has more in common with kits in the 70s and 80s than it does. Heck, I think it probably came out in the 80s or 90s. The Canadian Air Force manages to keep those things alive. And at this point, I'm not sure how they're doing it, but a brand new kit in 72nd scale of a 114 would be a great, great choice.
Well, he says he's on the waiting list for Kinetics 148 Snowbird.
As is every Canadian modeler, period.
And hoping for March 2026 as promised. Is this the one we talked about
Yes, 2 years ago at Heritage Con, it was
No,
announced.
it wasn't. No, but we talked to Kinetic at San Marcos,
I think we did, yeah.
and this was this the
Yes.
one? I have to go back and listen. I don't know, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
hopefully they get it out the door because
Yep.
got a bunch of our Canadian friends gonna want that.
Oh, yeah.
Up next, Dave, is Louis Toledo.
That's a great name.
He wanted to share his thoughts about a couple of things. After listening to a few of our fellow podcasters talk about quote unquote uniqueness of a model,
Mm-hmm.
he realized some of us take the hobby more seriously than others.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to venture into that pool, but yes, absolutely.
And like he says, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we make comparisons that aren't realistic.
Yep.
Typically, we look at something and then, maybe it's by a professional modeler. And we look at their work and the wow factor of that model and forget that that's what they do for a living. So when a professional modeler kicks out a build in 2 weeks, we say, oh, wow, it only took 2 weeks. We don't realize that that's 80 hours of work because that's all they do.
Exactly.
So he says to ask ourselves, specifically if you're just a hobbyist, when was the last time you put 80 hours into your model in a 2-week period? Well, that would be never.
Never.
I probably haven't put 80 hours into modeling. What would be the shortest span of time I've put 80 hours into a model? Oh,
Well,
I would have had to have been single,
Yeah.
and between dating opportunities, and it was probably 80 hours, maybe over 3 months
Yeah.
at my
Well-
high tide of productivity.
I meant to mention this back in the model sphere up at the top, but I had mentioned in a previous episode that one of the things I was doing to keep myself accountable was tracking the time I'm actually at the bench and building, not fiddling around, not cleaning up, not anything else, but actually at the bench building to figure out how much time I was spending in a week or a month. In this case, I was tracking for a full month. Do you know how much time I spent at the bench actually building in the month of January? What would be your guess?
4 hours.
Actually, a little more than that, but not much. But you're
I'm good.
in the
I'm happy for you.
you're in the ballpark. 6 hours, 19 minutes.
So single digit
Single digits
on the hour
in a month.
anyway.
That's
Okay.
right. 6 hours in a month. And when you keep track of that, it does make you realize, okay, yeah, I'm not finishing a model every 2 weeks, and there's a reason for that. I don't have that time to build, but it also is motivating to me to find ways to get more time at the bench.
Well, some of my projects I'm not even finished in 2 years, so
Yeah.
talk about that another time.
Yes.
So in the end, he advises hobbyists not to do that. You have a choice of how much time you're willing to put into this wonderful hobby.
Yep.
And just treat it as just a hobby. And we've all heard this before. He says, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
Well, we've more than heard that. We've said that.
on many occasions.
So learn to appreciate a modeler's effort instead of his or her results, because that's what matters. Well, it matters. Results matter to some people, like the people you're talking about who are professional modelers. But, I agree. For a lot of us, it's more about the journey than the finish.
Yep.
And we all have to figure that out for ourselves.
Yep. And for me, it boils down, are you having fun?
Yeah. You having fun or not?
Exactly.
Why
And
not?
if you're having fun, you're doing the hobby right.
I'm all for having fun.
Yep.
Well, we hear from the voice of Bob fairly regularly.
Yes, we do.
Probably 4 times in this episode, we'll hear from voice of Bob.
Yeah, that's true too.
Maybe 5. I need to take stock. But he's written in as a average Joe modeler this time. And again, it's about Jim's episode.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be the most relatable episode ever to him.
Oh, wow.
Listening and nodding his head. Yes, exactly. Again, he says it's great to hear from Jim. He liked how Jim talks about building what he likes instead of, how that's contradictory to what he actually builds, what he likes versus what he builds. He likes this finish and learn approach. He thinks that this being afraid of screwing it up, so you don't do anything. For him, is airbrush avoidance, and it was one of his hangups. And he says Dr. Miller, Dr. Strangebrush, has alleviated some of that for him. But why aren't you building your favorite aircraft yet?
Right.
That's the problem he's had. He loves the P-38, and he's building one, but it's taken over a year to get where he's at, and he's not quite done yet. So there's a paralysis creeping in.
And that happens.
He feels like he should buy another kit of the P-38 and build it out of box. Because that's not what he's doing with this one, if you remember.
Right. Yeah.
Just build it, paint it, done. I think it's not a bad idea, Bob.
I do too. And in fact, I think if you've got a favorite aircraft or a favorite piece of armor or favorite whatever, don't keep putting it off because you want to get better before you do it, because you love that item and you want to build that item. Grab the kit, build it out of the box, just straight out of the box as a learning experience. Then once you've built one and completed it and found where maybe the catches are, the things that you need to pay more attention to or whatever, once you finish the first one, then you can go and get all the aftermarket and open up panels or do whatever you're going to do. And then you'll have two models of your favorite aircraft or piece of armor or whatever.
Well, he wants to quit suffering over the add-ons he's foolishly purchased because it's his favorite World War II aircraft.
Yep. And those add-ons can take away from your enjoyment. Sometimes they can add to it, but they can also take away from it.
And he says this is why I added a second build table, just to work on something else.
Yep. I am a huge advocate of having two items going at once.
Yeah, but two benches?
Mm-hmm. Who am I? I've got a 13-foot bench, and I'm building on a bench space the size of a piece of 8.5 by 11-inch paper. Who am I to judge?
You could have 4 or 5 things going on if you clean up.
I absolutely could if I cleaned up.
Well, Bob wants to warm up to finishing his SR-71, which I think he has this weekend because he posted on the dojo.
Yes, it's beautiful.
But it's too big for his paint booth, so.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You can paint it, stick one end in, stick the other end in. It'll work it out.
That modeling fluid and paint fumes might be a interesting conversation.
Well, that's two of our modeling friends have built SR-71s in the last year or two. That's a very, very popular model.
Up next is Bruce McRae.
Oh, how's he doing?
He's good. He says in 1983, he got a tour of Industrial Light and Magic. They had just finished Return of the Jedi, and the movie had just opened that week, and he spent most of his time in their modeling shop.
I'm sure that would have been an experience.
He says Bill George was the only modeler there, and they talked a lot about the models made for the movies, and he asked him what color they used for the TIE fighters. And he reached behind him and pulled out a spray can from the rack. Number 2008 Pactra Authentic International Colors Stormy Sea, which is a dark blue-gray color.
Yes.
Which gets washed out in the movie.
Yep.
They look like light gray on the screen, right?
Yes, they do.
He still got the can, which he sent a photograph of. You know what this makes me want to do?
What?
Way back we interviewed a gentleman here in Lexington that runs the old model kit business.
Right.
And I remember I went over to his house.
Yep.
And he had like a crap ton of decals and paints and supplies that came with a lot of these collections.
Yep.
And there were a bunch of burgundy top paint bottles in there, man, of that old Pactra stuff. I wonder if he's got any of that color. I'd like to have one.
If nothing else, you ought to be able to paint match it.
It'd be really easy to paint match if you actually had it.
Yeah.
Up next is Leo Posner from the city of brotherly love, Dave, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia.
He hadn't written in a while. He just wants to touch base with a quick status of his current projects. And, he's written in several times before, and he's a 1 to 144th airline guy.
Yeah. Which I one of my ambitions is to build an airliner or two.
Which people going to object to this and write in and tell me I'm wrong, but I think airliners
have
maybe more in common with automotive subjects than like combat aircraft.
Yep, I agree with you.
It's really all about the finish and the livery
Yep.
and not so much the detail. I mean, come on, you put decals on for the windows.
Yes. Well, sometimes.
Well,
Yes.
I'd say most of the time.
Most of
But Leo's wanted to get better or expand his horizons anyway, experience some new things. So photo etch was one of those.
Yep.
And he's added some photo etch to some of his airliners. And he's, again, it's about the airframe and the scheme, the livery.
Yep.
So little minuscule photo etch on an airliner get kind of lost in the noise.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not gaining a lot when you add it. He says that pretty much in the email.
Yeah.
So he's gone on and he's built like a Revell's bucket wheel excavator,
Yep.
Saturn V rocket,
Yep.
and the North Coromant offshore rig.
Mm-hmm.
Another big kit. These are his winter builds each year. He picks a larger kit to pass the long, cold Philly winters and dark nights.
And it does get cold and wintry up there.
Wanting to get better at PE for, I guess, not so much for his airliners, but for these other things he's trying, just trying to get his skill set up, right?
Sure. Learn something.
He's building Revell's 1/400 scale Queen Mary 2 Platinum Edition.
I have seen the posts on the dojo on that, and it's pretty amazing.
So between the laser cut wood deck and the heap and helping of photo etch, which would probably make Jim Bates run to a Mariners game. See, Jim, everybody loves you, man.
That's right.
Well, all this gets his goal of getting better at photo etch parts. So it's working out because he's doing something different.
You want to know my hot take?
What's your hot take, Dave?
Airliners have a lot in common with model railroad.
More than automotive?
No, maybe not more than automotive, but in the same way as automotive, where you're building for the livery.
Yeah, sometimes.
Many model railroaders, they're building particular lines and particular markings on particular cars, and that's the focus of what they're doing, and that is very much like airliners. So that's my hot take.
There you go, folks.
There you go.
All right, Dave. This next one comes from a long way away.
Where?
Folos, Greece. From Panagiotis Mavriotis. Hope I got that right.
That's probably better than I could do.
Hey, at least he wrote it in Roman alphabet instead of
the Greek alphabet,
which is looks like Cyrillic to me.
Yep, but it's not.
It's not. You're right. He's been listening for the last year, and it's been a turning point in his scale model life. So we appreciate that.
Well, that's fantastic. I hope his modeling fluid is ouzo.
He likes our approach to scale modeling, Dave.
Well, I appreciate that. And I love hearing from people who listen to us in other countries. I really do.
Mostly models in 70-second scale.
Yay!
He's sent a bunch of photos. It's a lot of jets, including a Hellenic Corsair 2.
The modern Greek aircraft are some of the coolest because they have a lot of interesting schemes and a lot of weathering. Greek F4s, A7s are just some of the most awesome models.
Well, he's expanding his modeling subject to real space and sci-fi. Well, he's always wanted to. So yeah, the time's now. Go do it, man. Your aircraft you're great. You're ready to go do something different too.
Yeah. Mike Idakavich approves.
Yes, he turned 53 months ago, and he's still trying to sort out and organize his most valuable resource. You know what it is?
Modeling fluid?
Time.
Oh, okay. Yes, I sympathize with that.
Well, he's got a suggestion for a future topic, and we'll take that into consideration. But thank you for writing in from Greece, and your models look great.
And thank you for the suggestions. We love it when listeners reach out and tell us what they like, what they don't like, and give us suggestions for things to do.
Well, he's been at this a long time, so I'm glad you enjoy the podcast. I'm glad you're enjoying the hobby because that is paramount.
Absolutely.
Steve Anderson from Motto Midi, Minnesota, up in
Yes.
Minnesota Twins country.
Yep.
Getting back to shows and stuff, he went to the Hope It Doesn't Snow show again in Rochester.
Yep. Steve did as well. So did Mark Copeland.
This was the second year he went and had a vendor table. He says, Rick, the vendor guy from the show, was awesome. And he says that you, Dave, are right about the great people you meet at shows, and Rick is one of them.
Yep. It's true, man.
So here's the hook. Coming back for the second time was better than the first.
Yep.
He got to talk to new people, and some of the modelers he talked to the year before came back, and he got to talk some more. And he realized he met a lot more people when he had a vendor table.
Yes.
And then when he didn't.
Yep. I had that experience in Murfreesboro last fall. Because you weren't able to make it, I had the table down there and I had it just me. And it really was a way to interact with the entire crowd. And I really enjoyed that.
He says the highlight was getting to meet and talk to some fellow Macross and Robotech builders. So that's interesting.
Oh, wow.
That's unusual genre.
Yep.
Well, I guess it's not unusual. It's just
no, it's becoming more and more popular.
Well, but it's always been, I guess, lesser well populated at the shows than the traditional stuff. But glad somebody's building it. And, I bought a bunch of Robotech kits at the Nationals, and I finally got those in my buddy John's hands a couple of weeks ago. So
I remember that.
That was good. But all this leads to his question, Dave.
Okay.
What is a favorite memory we have either running our own table or talking to a vendor at a table at a show?
Keep in mind, I've been to 29 nationals.
But you set up tables at way more than just national.
Yeah, I did. God, there's so many of them. Okay, I'll tell you one. And this has happened several times, so it's not just one, it's several. This is happening less and less often simply because time marches on. But particularly back in the 90s and early 2000s, at model shows, you would encounter veterans, World War II veterans.
Yeah.
And they'd stop by your table and, they'd see a particular aircraft or piece of armor or whatever. And I recognize that because I did this or that. Looking back, I wish I'd had a recorder and taped those conversations, because those were just some of the most interesting conversations. A lot of these guys didn't talk about this stuff on the regular, but once something triggered the memories, particularly in an environment like a model show where it was kind of the focus of the event, they were much more comfortable talking and just had some of the greatest conversations with guys who were ground servicemen servicing aircraft in the Pacific, or guys who served in the mud infantry in Italy. They were fantastic, and I really wish I could go back and recapture those.
For me, man, I don't know. It's I think it's gotten kind of polluted since we started doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Because now we sit behind a table at a show, be it a invitational level local show or a regional or the national convention or amps or whatever. We've just met some amazing people who've become some good friends, and some have become regular personalities on the show.
Yeah.
It's just, you just don't know what you're going to get.
I'll tell you one. Do you remember where we first met the Quokka?
At Heritage Con.
No, at Indy.
Really?
Yes. He was at Indy. And that's where we first met him. And that's a guy who we communicate with on the regular, who is one of not only the finest modelers, but the finest people I know.
Paul Gloucester, for those.
Yeah, Paul Gloucester from Australia. And last year, you and I spent 5 days in an Airbnb with Gloucester and some other folks, and just the time of my life.
We're about to do it again.
I could not be this lucky again.
We only get one chance, so that's a good thing.
That's right, baby.
Well, next is Tim Nelson.
Just right, Tim.
Just right, Tim. Just listening to episode 156, and he feels compelled to comment on getting better versus having fun.
Okay.
He says he sure hopes those things aren't mutually exclusive.
They shouldn't be.
And I don't think they are.
I don't think they
Nor
are
do I
either.
think one's a priority over the other. And he says my inclination was correct, that the "what's your plan for getting better" did originate as a snarky response to the excessive hand-wringing, pearl clutching we all see that keeps folks from building beloved subjects.
Yep.
And he says, facing those fears and peeling back the mystery, his hope is that there's a pathway opens up for us that lead us to more fun and joy in the hobby.
I agree.
The goal can be whatever motivates you. Improvements in our builds, improvements in personal growth, satisfaction at building a meaningful subject, success in competition even, or whatever. He says if you want to spend a few hours as in just assembling a quick build just to get it out and get it done for the enjoyment of hands-on activity, it's all good. Paramount is just to seek bliss.
I completely agree. Are you having fun?
He's turning into a scale model Buddha, man.
Yeah.
Regarding being our own worst critics, which is absolutely true in modeling or any other quote-unquote art, he believes our negativity comes from the mismatch between what we visualize for our project completion compared to the actual results.
Yep. I'd say that's true.
He says other viewers never had that pre-visualization, so they see the model as it is.
Yep.
And the passage of time causes the visualization to fade, and we start to see our own models as is, generally pretty darn decent. Good point. So, Tim's hitting it again, man. Good points. And that is it for the email side of things, Dave. Other than, before I hand it off to you, we've got three more.
Okay.
One of them will be covered in our special topic, and the other two from Terry Wilkinson and Scott Huber were from the call to action in the 12-minute model sphere, and they're going to go and be addressed in episode 158. So let me say real quick, episode 158, the topic is, what do you get from this hobby? Why do you model? What do you get from it? I'd like to see some more emails on that. We're going to cover those other points and opinions in episode 158 in our feature segment. Thanks for those guys for getting on the stick and getting those to me, but a few more would be great. So keep them coming in, and we'll tackle this other one in our special episode tonight, Dave, from Jeff Adanich. So there you go.
All right.
So what is happening on the direct message side of the world?
Well, the direct messages have been active too. Our friend Michael Grisbin DM'd me, heard me talking about one of the things I wanted to do was to use the cameo cutter that I got that I've only used on one project, and I want to get better at it. And he reached out because there was a post on Facebook about using the cutter to cut plastic up to 20 thou plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was kind enough to say, hey, I don't know if you saw this, and sent it to me, and which was great because I would have never seen it otherwise. And it just redoubles my desire to make that a focus in 2026 of getting better.
Well, I can tell you on that topic, you mentioned Paul Gloucester.
Yes.
And I talked about phase 2 of the website. He's mentioned maybe talking about the silhouette and cricket cutters a little bit more in a written format. So maybe we get to put this together ourselves.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. Kevin Hedrick of Kit Masks contacted me to let me know that unfortunately they're not going to be able to make it to Heritage Con after all. They've had some developments that require them to devote time, energy, and money where they are, and they have to sacrifice the trip to Hamilton, which they were really looking forward to. I've already reached out to him and said, listen, if you've got material you want us to distribute, send it to us. We will. Because, again, Mike and I are huge fans of Kevin and Janelle, and they do a great job, and we get nothing but positive feedback from our listeners who've interacted with them. Now, I'm, of course, disappointed that we're not going to see Janelle at at Hamilton. Kevin, too, I guess. But I am encouraged that all is well and they're focusing on what they need to focus on right now. Looking forward to seeing them. Maybe they'll get to the Nationals. Who knows?
On a personal level, that is disappointing, but they can't help it. So we understand.
We completely do. William Christman reached out to comment and just tell us that he enjoys our podcast and the outlook and attitude that we have toward modeling, and that, like us, he wants it to be a drama-free experience, and he really appreciates that we keep it that way in the podcast, and I appreciate hearing that, because you and I really do make an effort to do that. Martin Piata to send me a picture of a bourbon bottle.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey Chicken Cock is the name of the bourbon. I've seen this, I think, at like Total Wine. I've never had it. I don't know what distiller is distilling it, if it's an independent or one of the big ones.
No, I don't remember. Remind me, did he send a picture of it on the store shelf, or is it like in his hand in his house?
Is it in his hand in his house? So he said a friend got it for him for his birthday, and he says
they still friends.
He thinks the friend got it mostly for the name, but it turns out to actually taste pretty good. So maybe I'll have to look out for that one.
Maybe that one will be featured on a future episode of Plastic Model Mojo. Chicken Cock.
Chicken Cock.
All right.
And finally, on the DM side, one of our listeners who had interacted previously, Clement Pudenson, and God, I know I'm butchering that, and I apologize. He and I have had some really wonderful interactions. And like I said, he had first contacted me regarding using Tamiya wax on his canopies. But we've had plenty of lovely interactions since then. And he and I had an interaction that will come up later in the What Broke Your Wallet segment. So I just wanted to mention to him that he broke my wallet, and he'll hear about it in a little bit. That's all I've got from the DM side.
Folks, again, we got a few more we're going to save till next episode. So if you'd like to reach out to us, you can do so through a couple of ways. You can email us at plasticmodelmojo@gmail.com, or you can send us a direct message through the Facebook Messenger system, or you can use the feedback web link on the website, which you can get to at the website or through the show notes of each and every episode. So, man, we had a lot this time, but it was a lot of fun, Dave.
It was. This is my favorite segment without question.
Dave, our main segment tonight is going to pick back up fear targets topic that we kind of glossed over it with Jim. We kind of got off the rails, but it was all fine. It all ended up okay, but I just thought maybe this was worth talking a little bit about more.
All right.
A little bit more about, maybe.
Define your terms.
Fear targets would be anything that gets us off the rails as modelers, or even keeps us from starting as modelers. Things that basically that scare us, that keep us, maybe that's a hard thing to admit sometimes, but
right,
it can cause procrastination at the base level, I guess.
And I can think of some.
Well, I've got one. I'm going to lead off with this listener mail we put
ahead.
off from Jeff Adanich. And it gets into that kind of vein that Tim Nelson was talking about, our pre-project visualization versus what it actually ends up.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that pre-visualization might be in our minds beyond our current skills, so we don't start it. And for him, he had a family member that was a B-17 ground crewman during the war with the 8th Air Force. So he's got a family significance around this particular subject. He's heard stories about the planes, the crews, the work at the airbase, on and on and on. And his dad would take him to air shows to see one of the few flying B-17s that are out there. And other things, he'd go to the Dayton Air Force Museum and see the one there. So he's got an aside that he'd never leave the gift shop without a model kit. But he's had an Academy B-17F in his stash for years. He didn't want to start it because, as he quotes, "I can't screw up the family airplane." And he took a long look at the kit he's built over the years and all the great builds people are doing on the dojo. And he finally got to the point, he's like, let's do this and see what happens. So that would be one fear target, is basically the fear of failure from the start.
And I think this is a very common one. And I know it is for me. In fact, we talked about it a little bit earlier in this episode. Your favorite item. In his case, the B-17 because of the family connection. But from whatever it is, this is the airplane that I really love, or the tank that I really love, or the car that I really, really love.
Yeah, like Jim not building hurricanes.
Like Jim knows more about hurricanes. Jim has forgotten more about hurricanes than I'll ever know. And it's clearly something that he is invested in. And I think he actually suffers from that, in that he runs into this challenge of, I'm not good enough yet. And I do think one of the solutions to that is what I suggested earlier. Go buy 2 or 3 of the kits and build one out of the box, and say to yourself, this isn't going to be the masterpiece. All I'm doing here is putting it together out of the box, learning the kit assembly sequence, learning where there might be things that I need to do different from what the instructions say, and finish it. And when you get it done, because you've said to yourself, this isn't the masterpiece, this isn't my absolute opus build, the fact that you built a kit of your favorite item, got it completed, I think will help kill that fear, or at least diminish it.
Well, he's got a kind of interesting take here.
Okay.
We all say just, get going on it, right?
Right.
And maybe, honestly, probably is easier said than done for a lot of folks.
Yep.
But that's okay. Finally got to the point, again, let's do this and see what happens. And over the last several months, he's had the most fun he's ever had working on a kit. This B-17 has been the largest kit he's ever built. It's the most scratch building he's ever done. It's the longest build duration he's ever endured. And he's used every skill he has in the process and adding to it to get to the end. Which he says that the Model Paint Solutions needlepoint scriber has been a great addition to the toolkit. So shout out to John Miller. So there you go, John. This point is, and we've talked about this before, Dave. He says this kit was or is 100 little builds.
Mm-hmm.
From getting the paint to look right to problem solving about fit and shape issues, getting all 10 of the flight crew figures into the plane in the right pose, how to build the radio room because he now has to have a figure in it and he can't leave him out, and all these little stinking brass machine gun barrels. And sometimes you just got to jump, man.
No, I think that's absolutely true. Sometimes you just have to jump.
So his fear target was screwing up the family build. And he's embraced it. And then, you're right. If it doesn't work out, he can take all that he learned and build another one and get past fast forward past all those hurdles
Yep.
because he knows.
And having built one, I think that takes a lot of fear away, because one of the big fears is, oh, I'm going to screw this up. Well, if you built the kit once, that fear of screwing up is now you know what you're facing, rather than when you initially open the box, cut open the plastic, the cellophane or whatever, sprue covers or whatever. You don't know what you're facing, and when you don't know, fear creeps in.
Well, two things. I forgot one of them.
That's okay. It'll come to you.
Well, your third Pleieste B24 ought to be really damn good, man.
That's exactly right. That is absolutely exactly correct.
The other point was he may get through this one and it may be fine.
Yep.
He may, man, I learned a lot. I think it looks good enough. That's the family airplane. I'm going to go do something else.
Yep.
So, you don't have to use it as a test bed.
No.
But the point
right.
is, just do it. It is a test bed by default. When you get to the end, you either like it or you don't. If you don't, you can do it again. If you do, you're done.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, you got any fear targets?
Well, that's one. There are a number of aircraft that I want to do, and I want to do the perfect job on them, and I've built none of them. And
well, is there a technique or something besides a subject?
Well, I was going to say, in addition to all of those subjects, and that's one fear, the fear of screwing up an airplane I really like, I have shied away from bare metal aircraft because of the fact that bare metal is very difficult to do. And I don't think it's as difficult as I think it is. Our friend Chris Wallace did a really excellent video, not awful long ago, on bare metal finish on his 104. I do think that because I fear the bare metal finish, that has me shying away from certain subjects or certain subjects in certain markings. And that is one of the things that is a fear for me, and I need to conquer it. And I've got an upcoming build where I can finish. It needs to be finished in bare metal, and I'm going to confront that fear. Worst thing that happens is I screw the model up, it goes in the trash, and I go out and get another one.
That's always true, but it's hard to swallow. Once you swallow it, it's good. But
yeah, I was going to say, once you accept it, it's the scene in Dune where fear is the mind killer.
Well, another one that comes to mind was Jim brought it up about even a little piece of photo etch is again stomps the brakes for him.
Yes.
And for me, I was kind of there too.
Yeah.
But I think really getting into a technique that you don't understand and learning as much about it as you can before you try it, it's not going to guarantee success, but I think it's going to get you to success faster than if you just started throwing bricks at the wall.
Well, and that is one of the things that Steve Hustad has emphasized to both you and I, which is experimenting. If you're going to do something like photo etch, go ahead and get yourself a piece of photo etch and practice with it and get comfortable with it. And the fact that you have done it and maybe even screwed it up and learned why you screwed it up and then did it again and learned better this time, that just confronting doing something does in and of itself take away a lot of the fear, because the fear is just in the mind.
It's in the mind, but there are also some aspects that are in the technique that are, this thing's not behaving like I want it to, or if it would do this instead of what it's doing, it'd be a lot easier to work with.
Right.
And I think for me, because I had this photo etch phobia for a long time as well, partly because of CA adhesives. And, we talked about Paul Budzik in the listener mail segment. It was a conversation that I was having with him, and I was joking, but for me, CA adhesives are both sentient and clairvoyant.
Yes.
They know when you want it to dry or cure instantly,
Right.
and they don't.
And then they know when you need a little time,
And they don't.
and they and they do.
Or they do cure.
Yeah.
Yes. So that struggling with that part of CA made me think, okay, how do I want this to work? Well, I'd like to work like I was just gluing a piece of plastic onto a piece of plastic.
Right.
So what did I do? I took Evergreen 5000 styrene, and now you can even go to Aldi and get this 2,500 styrene, or you can get the Tamiya plastic paper in the same kind of thicknesses.
Right. And enjoy some very nice prosciutto.
You can take your piece of photo etch that you're worried about getting the placement right on.
Yep.
Glue it to this scrap of this really thin styrene, which
Yep.
is easy because you don't have to place it precisely.
Right.
Trim all the extra off, which is really easy because you have the photo etch part is the trim line.
Right.
And then glue it to your model with liquid cement.
Yep. And it's so thin
that it don't matter.
That it either doesn't matter or it disappears.
Yeah.
It melts the plastic.
Now, that won't work for everything, but
Yep.
for some of them it will.
Yep.
And if you can find solutions that suit your skill set, then you can use this new thing.
Yeah.
Even doing that, you're still having to glue the PE to the styrene with CA adhesive.
Right.
So you're learning something there.
But you have a wider margin for error.
Right. But because you're doing it now with that, you're learning how the CA behaves. You're learning how the PE behaves. And at some point you may get past that intermediate step.
Yeah.
Or you may never, because it may be you think that's the greatest way to do it, which kind of is where I'm at for some parts.
Yeah.
Still after probably 18 years of doing it that way. But yeah, you can find a workaround. That's another approach to some of these problems. So what else, man? What else is another fear target?
Airbrushing when I've been away from it for a while. And my solution to this has been to try and keep something constantly in the paint booth because, and you wouldn't think it's like this. You would think that airbrushing is like riding a bicycle. Once you've done it and once you've mastered it, you can walk away from it for 6 months, come back, get on that bicycle, and start. You haven't forgotten how to pedal. You know how to ride a bike. You would think it's like that, but it's not. It is a specific skill set, and it is more akin to shooting free throws, where if you shoot free throws and get good shooting free throws, and then you don't do it for 6 months and you come back, you have to get good again. Whereas if you're like a professional basketball player and every day of your life since you were 13 years old, you went out on the court every day and shot, 200 free throws, because you do it every day in, day out, without exception, you get to that high skill level and you maintain that high skill level. And I think airbrushing is like that. I think that if you are away from it for some significant period of time, and I suspect it varies person to person, but if you're away from it and come back to it after not having done it, I do think it is something that you end up having to relearn. You end up having to practice and regain your touch before you move forward.
Yeah, I think all these things probably fall into 2 buckets: the misappropriated expectations,
Mm-hmm.
and then the skill barrier.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
for me, I guess the skill barrier. Well, let me back up. The expectation one, somehow I've learned to manage that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gets into being able to shed the dare to compare kind of thing.
Yep.
Comparison is, what did they say? Something about,
Well, the perfect is the enemy of the good.
well, there's that. But compare equals despair.
Right.
I think once I got out of that mode of trying to achieve at contests and stuff, that one kind of got muted.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, I think you get a better assessment of your own skills, and you can know you you have a better ability to predict what your finished model is going to look like than what you want it to look like.
I was going to say, technology may provide you a solution to some of your skills-based fear targets.
You might.
Let me tell you what happened. One of the biggest fear targets for me was canopy masking. This is all before pre-cut mask came along. And you would have to use little pieces of tape or bare metal foil or whatever. And there were 20 or 30 different techniques, and none of them seemed to work really well.
And all of them had the potential to scratch your canopy with an Aaron Exacto knife swipe.
Exactly. And so you shy away from complex canopy masks, greenhouses, things like that. World War II bombers that had these just incredibly glazed canopies. And I never conquered that fear, but technology conquered it for me. And now canopies, while still tough, because again, I think that in aircraft modeling, one of the things that separates really good models from average models is canopies. But it's much easier now to get a good canopy because of canopy masks. And I think 3D printing is going to, at least to some extent, do that to resin and photo etch.
Yeah.
So technology may come along and solve your problem for you, which is great. I love that. We're living in the golden age of modeling. It's only going to get better from here.
It does, but I've always got that craftsman kind of mindset. So
I know you're an engineer. You like building things.
But I won't say I shy away from all that stuff.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
No, but in your case,
an engineer knows when the better solution is at hand than the one you have.
Well, but in your case, you may end up creating the 3D print yourself.
That's
whereas
true.
I'm never going to do that. But you may end up, and that may, again, it provides you a technological solution where instead of trying to represent something with photo etch where photo etch really isn't suited to it, you can go into CAD, create it yourself, print it yourself, etc., and use that different set of skills to overcome the photo etch problem, and not only overcome it, but replace it with something that's better.
It's a pretty good take, man.
Hey, I come up with them once in a while. And you know what? Elijah Craig may have something to do with that.
He may. Well, I think we've distilled the fear targets down to 2 buckets.
Yep, I think we have, and I think we found solutions for them.
In the past, how's this affected your modeling, either good or bad? What do you think?
Oh, it's prevented me from building kits that I want to build. Yeah. I mean, it absolutely has lessened my enjoyment of modeling. And so conquering those through the techniques we've discussed, I think provides you a solution that will increase your enjoyment of modeling. And again, it kind of has become a through line on this episode, but enjoying your hobby is what this is all about. And anything that makes you enjoy your hobby more is great. Anything that makes you enjoy your hobby less is something that you need to look at and say, okay, how do I fix this?
Yeah, I agree. I just wonder where I fall on this spectrum. Earlier in my modeling life that this was a bigger deal, but I think for me personally, and this, everybody's gonna be different. So this may not apply to anybody else, but I think I have a little bit different mindset on a lot of the problem solving that maybe a lot of modelers do,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't. I've gotten over how long it takes me to get a project done.
Yeah.
I've gotten, the ribbon doesn't bother me. I'm doing it the way I want to do it. So there's joy in that. But, I can lay in bed 3 nights in a row and ruminate over the same modeling problem I've got and eventually come out of it with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
Those stinking fuel drum straps on the KV-85 project were one of them.
Yeah.
And I finally pieced together a solution that would work. And, did I do that at the bench? A little bit. Did I do it laying in bed at night? Yeah, a little bit. It's just interesting. I think we all approach this thing a little bit differently, but thinking things through in kind of concert with just it, in some instances, thinking things through and taking your time to figure out a solution or maybe more appropriate for some problems. And the other ones is just flat starting the model and doing it.
Yeah.
And pushing through, because a basic aircraft or a basic armor project that you just don't want to mess up may be completely removed from some minuscule detail you're trying to get right.
Right.
So there's kind of two different things there. We've had it in the listener mail tonight. Just open the box and get started and see what happens.
And in most cases, if you screw something up, you can go out and get another one.
All right, man. You got anything else on this one?
No, I think we've touched on it.
Plastic Model Mojo is brought to you by Model Paint Solutions, your source for Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes, David Union power tools, and laboratory-grade mixing, measuring, and storage tools for use with all your model paints, be they acrylic, enamels, or lacquers. Check them out at www.modelpaintsolutions.com.
All right, folks, it's the Benchtop Halftime Report.
Have we been modeling?
We have, Dave.
Yes, we have.
Well, lay it on me, brother. What do you got going on?
The Hellcat has all of her decals on her.
All right.
I got them all on, and man, there were a lot of them. But I'll again say that Furball's decals are beautiful, and they go down really well, and their stencil decals are well printed. And don't look at the model too closely, because you can actually, with a magnifying glass, read the stencils. And I know I put at least 3 of them on upside down. But nobody else is going to know that. I have cleaned the model, and this is something that I do that Steve Hustad had said he does as well. After I've got the model done, all the decals on, I'll go back with a lightly damp brush and brush over the whole model to remove any excess decal setting film, microsol or microset or whatever, just so that I've got a really clean surface. Now it's at the point where it's ready for the gloss coat over top of the decals, and from there it's then simply weathering, adding the detail parts, wheels, landing gear, etc., and removing the canopy mask. So it is 99% sure that this thing is going to make a trip to Canada with us.
Ah, see, there you went. You ruined it.
No, I'm not jinxing it. Very well, who knows? I could break a leg or something like that, break an arm. But it
you
is
got
certain.
the Japanese plane is at that point and has been there for a long time.
About 5 months. Yes, I know. And believe me, the SAM is following this one up very quickly. But
well, you got it. They're going to be at the same place, and you're going to not have one in the paint in the build stage.
Yeah. Well, I do have. I reactivated a build that I know is at least 6 and more likely 8 or 9 years old. the Platts T-33.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Yeah, I'm building it for the Indiana Air National Guard build that the Septemberists are doing, but it is still in the build stage. It's in the late build stage, but it's in the build stage.
All right.
And so I have been working on it. And when you walk away from a model for 6 or 8 years, coming back to it and figuring out, okay, where am I? What needs to be done?
It's a little hard.
It was a challenge. I was going to say it was very much a challenge. And I did spend one whole evening at the bench, removing some masking I had put over the cockpit and the landing gear wells, and looking at the instructions and looking at the sprues and figuring out, okay, where am I? Where exactly am I, and what do I need to do to go forward? And I got that. In fact, I did a lot of that when Skippy was over on Super Bowl Sunday.
A lot of why did I do the last thing I did to this thing?
Exactly. And what was the last thing I did to this thing? And having Skippy over where I could interact with him while I was sitting here and looking at this thing and figuring all this out really did help. But so Hellcat, it's tonight after we record, getting the top gloss coat. The T-33 is back in production. It's in the build stage, the late build stage, and things are moving along. So I feel good. I wish I had more bench time. Again, 6 hours, 19 minutes in all of January is...
You can do better than that. I
can do better than that. I know I can do better than that. And now keep in mind, January had some challenges, weather, family, otherwise. I'm hoping February is better, but we'll see.
Well, it's going to be a little late. It's almost the middle of the month.
I understand, but I've got some time in at the bench already in February.
Good for you, man.
So we're getting there. Now, how about you?
Oh, man, it's been Mooseroo all the time.
Yes, you've been sending me pictures. I can't wait.
I've turned up the heat on that about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And gotten a lot done. The sub-assemblies are nearly done. Of the sub-assemblies, the one I don't have done yet is the perimeter tinting on the windshield.
Yeah.
Which I got to get that masked off and spray that with a Tamiya smoke.
Right.
That'll be the kind of the last of the sub-assemblies to get done. I'm building a little vignette with this, so the car is the primary element of the vignette. The secondary vignette element is done and weathered.
And looks beautiful.
Which we will not divulge what is.
No. But it was 3D printed.
It was. The color selection for the car involved me purchasing, which we'll get into later, several real color, aka real color blue paints.
Yep.
That was interesting because they're the new ones in the dropper bottles.
Right.
I tell you, for a paint that I've used recently, meaning since we started the podcast, so 6 years.
Right.
Those paints have the biggest difference between wet and dry color of any paints I've ever used.
Yep.
So you better let them dry before you just determine if that's the color you want or not.
The color you want.
That's right. The wet ain't it.
That's right. The wet color is not the color. It is a dry. And some of them don't shift hardly at all.
Some of them shift a lot.
Others shift a lot. What I'm most thrilled about and can't wait for you to be able to talk about is custom decals.
Well, we're going to talk about it.
Well, talk about it.
These decals are in hand. I've got them, Dave.
And they were made by a custom decal company where?
This custom decal company is called Hobbyist Decals, and they're out of India. I think they are in Mumbai. And these were a reference to us from Adam Coleman, longtime listener.
Yes.
Who's been on the show a few times. Who's the Liang Models North American distributor, by the way.
Yep.
And Adam had used these on a few of his builds. They're a custom decal producer, and they're small volume. So I used to do custom decals in my model railroading life, and you had to have like 50 to 100 sets printed. So
Right.
you better have a market identified to get the decals you want for your own stuff, because you have to buy a bunch of them. Not so much with hobbyist decals. I designed these up myself for this project and had them printed, and pricing was really reasonable. And I got them in hand. And
Well, let me stop you there. How was the interaction back and forth with the artwork? I mean,
was really good, actually.
okay.
I sent them the artwork. They identified some things that might be a challenge for them and asked me for some improvement if I could.
Right.
And I did. I sent them back the improvement. And I said, this is probably the best I can do, but this is probably as good as I need.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, okay, this looks fine for us. So that part was good. And then when they got to the final part, they're like, here it is. Is there anything else that needs to be adjusted here, or do you want to approve this for print?
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them a couple of questions to make sure we weren't assuming some things.
Right. And that's particularly true when you're dealing now
with anybody.
Right, with anybody. But now English is, of course, their national language due to being a colony of the United Kingdom. But again, even if you're interacting in English, you still need to make sure that you're all speaking the same English, and that you're clear on what they're saying and they're clear on what you're saying.
And it was basic things like I'd used a really washed out light blue to represent the decal paper. And I wanted to make sure that they knew that, hey, this color is the generic decal paper. This is not to be printed
right
on the decal film. And it was, maybe I was a little over concerned, but
better safe
you
than
don't
sorry.
Ask, you don't get. Yeah.
Right.
So we want to make sure that worked out. So the communication was really, really good.
Now, they were then produced. How long did it take to get back to the U.S.?
I think when I approved them, when I received them in the mail, was about 14 days.
Dang, that's amazing.
So they're using an inkjet plotter, so it's print on demand.
Right.
So most of it was shipping and customs and all that.
Right.
So
that's pretty good, darn good service.
Pretty good service. And then when I get them, I only got one sheet in a specific metric size. So I'd replicated a lot of the markings that I want for the Mooseroo project on there. So I could probably actually letter about 2 or 3 models with what I got, but I wanted to make sure I had enough,
right?
In case some bad stuff happened or they were difficult to work with.
Right.
I've not put them on the model yet, but I've done given I've got a lot of extras, some cursory work with trying to see how they're going to behave.
Right.
And testing. Yeah. So in a nutshell, like the whites, they could be a little more opaque. They're not opaque enough. So I'm probably going to back those up with some white trim film, put down first and put the decals over that.
Right.
To get that saturation good. So the underlying color of the car doesn't show through the decal film. The decals seem to react fine with like the micro scale solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
Now, is the decal carrier film, it's not a continuous sheet. It's actually around each decal?
No, but.
Okay.
It's a really interesting question. The decals are printed on a edge-to-edge clear film.
Gotcha.
But because these are done on a plotter type device, they have a blade on the plotter head.
Uh-huh.
So it is scribing just through the clear film, a little bit outside of each decal color boundary.
Oh, wow.
So I got this sheet and it's got like this rough feel to it. I'm like, oh crap, what's that all about? Then I put it on my Optivisor to look at it. Well, yeah, they've scribed around every shape with a blade. So when you soak these in film, it separates where the scribe line was.
Nice.
So we'll see. I think that's a plus, unless when they cut it, it put a lip,
right.
Put a burr on the edge of the film, which can happen if you use an X-Acto knife. Sometimes on a continuous film decal, you can raise a burr on the film and it makes it a little hard to hide. we'll see. But I tested these decals on a plastic placard we got from somebody. I can't remember who it was. At our first indie show, gave me a stack of these things. They were injection molded test plaques for finished texture on a surface out of an injection mold.
Yeah.
So it's got like a 2-inch square patch of a texture. So it's not smooth. So the decals with the microscale solution seems to be performing pretty well against that. So I'm pretty pleased with what I got so far. You know, I got to cut some white trim film to go under some of the decals, but that shouldn't be too bad. And given I'm pretty accustomed to stacking trim film to get a, multicolor thing with decals.
Like you did on the Paul.
Yeah, like I did on the safety striping on the Paul. So, that's not going to be that big a deal. But they could have been a little more opaque, but that's probably limitation of their printing process.
Sure.
Other than that, man, the KV85 is on hold till I get a little further on this.
Right.
I did a little work on the turret. I put a few more parts on the turret. I've got the rear turret MG installed. So a little work there, but not much. It's back.
Well, that turret ought to be almost done.
It's almost done. I think I took an assessment last week and it's like, wow, there's a lot of little popcorn things I need to do on this thing before I can prime it. So I've been knocking those out, but not a lot worth mentioning. I'll get into the KV85 in the next episode probably.
Good.
So that's where I'm at, man. You got anything else?
That's it.
Plastic Model Mojo is brought to you by Squadron. Head on over to squadron.com for the latest in kits and accessories, all at a great price and with great service. Squadron, adding to the stash since 1968.
Mike, have you been spending some money lately?
Yeah, I did, Dave.
I did too. So let's get into what broke your wallet.
Well, the first thing that broke my wallet was I bought 4 different blue paints from AK Interactive, and I bought those through Burbank House of Hobby.
They are really good. I'll tell you, you go on their website, they have what's in stock, what's out of stock, shipping when you do it not on eBay but directly through their website is very reasonable, and boy are they quick.
They are fast, and again, it gets back to the dry color versus the wet color. So,
yeah,
those for the Musaru car.
Yep.
Luckily, I'm not gonna have to mix. I'm gonna use one of these right out of the bottle. So,
I can't wait to see it.
That's good. So I did that. What else I get for them? I got the brass machine gun barrel that I put on the back of the KV85.
Which looks fantastic.
Yeah, they look pretty good. Those are from Aber, and they turned out pretty good. That's what I got from Burbank.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, and I mentioned maybe this a little bit in passing in one of the other episodes, but I got a new catapult, Dave.
Yes, I know. You only paid for it twice.
Only paid for it twice.
What catapult did we get?
Well, it's a French Marine catapult, Dave.
Yes.
I find my glasses.
Have you been watching Inch High's blog on the Loire 130?
Well, the only reason he posted that is because I asked him for information.
I know that, but I mean, it's amazing the photographs that he came up with, many of which include the catapult and details of the catapult.
Well, this is from a defunct company, AJP Maquettes out of France.
Although they still may take your money.
They may take your money. Well, I think their website's finally down.
Oh, okay.
They made this thing at one time in both 48 scale and 72nd scale.
Yep.
And I had ordered one. I'd more than ordered one. I had a conversation with the proprietor of the business. And I ordered one. And with the cottage industry like this, you're going to be a little bit lenient, right?
Right.
So about 3 or 4 months later, I was like, okay, what's going on? He's like, it's all cool. I just need to get the photo etch sheets made again. And that was it.
Yeah.
There was nothing after that. Then his website went down. So he got my money. I did not get my model. And then a listener sent us a listener mail about a month ago. Said, hey, I was looking for another model kit, but I found this. This looks all right up your alley. I thought you might be interested in it. And it was this catapult.
On the website of a third-party retailer.
Yeah, it was not the website for this company. It was a God, what's the name of the place? It's all they sell is aviation models and they're out of Europe. Aviation Megastore.
Okay, yes, I know who they are.
I think they're out of Holland.
They're out of Holland or Belgium, but yes.
Right. It was listed on their website. So I emailed them and said, hey, do you really have this? Like, yeah, we've got one in stock. Like, I want it. Hold it. I'm sending the money as soon as I can get it to you. So I sent them the payment for it. It was a little bit uplifted versus the price I had paid for the one I never got. So I paid for it twice plus. Then it was shipped from a tariffed country. So I got that little joy. So I probably paid for this thing probably close to 3x at this point.
Yeah.
But I have it.
And how does it look?
The photo etch looks very reasonable, very buildable. It comes with the tower and the turntable.
Uh-huh.
And the tower is like 3 inches in diameter, and you can hold it at arm's length and tell it's not round. So that's going to be a 3D print job, but that's really, really easy because it's just a cylinder.
Right.
There's some of the finer details like the control panel and some of the plumbing and stuff that's in photo etch. And I'm like, I might try to redo that in 3D print and improve it a little bit. But the actual gantry, the catapult is really pretty nice and it looks really buildable. So looking forward to starting this one. I think this one moves to the front of my airplane list, Dave.
I don't blame you, and I would encourage that because that's been something of a white whale for you. And
well, just getting it's been the white whale. I hope building it's not the white whale.
But I mean, I'm happy to see you have it after all this time.
I just wonder that Azure Loire 130 is going to be how good a build that's going to be.
It's going to be a challenge, I can tell you.
But you know what?
What?
It's not a rigged plane.
No, it is not.
So that's a plus.
Although the strut configuration is pretty interesting.
It's going to be fun. So
yes, it is. And I've got a little present for you.
Okay.
That's in regard to that.
So all that said, the email was sent by Mr. Eric Kinser of Menlo Park, California. And because he thought of me, because he helped me connect with something I've been looking for that had a lot of bad mojo because I didn't get it the first time. Eric, you are now Special Agent 006.
There you go. Well deserved.
Well deserved. So, man, I hope this builds up at all, really.
Well, and I will tell you, I love the fact that our listeners not only listen to this episode, but they hear things that we talk about and keep us in mind.
Yeah.
Say, oh, wait a minute. Mike or Dave talked about this. Let me shoot them a DM or an email or whatever. And man, that worked out.
That worked out. I mean,
it caused me to spend some money, but it's worked out.
It did. But Eric, thank you for the email. The key was the link to a website other than the manufacturer, and it just all worked out from there. So I got it in hand. I'm happy with it. I appreciate you thinking of us. And man, I don't know what else to say, but you're 006.
Congratulations. Well deserved.
Well, that's me, Dave. What broke your wallet?
Similarly, I mentioned Mr. Plutonson. Again, I apologize. I know I'm butchering your last name. But we've had wonderful back and forth exchanges, and I really appreciate it. I really have enjoyed them. Well, he sent me a photo of a very beautiful MiG-21 in bare metal that he's doing. And in the photo, the MiG-21, which is not yet finished, is being held by a really interesting vise. And it caused me to ask him, hey, what is that? And it turns out it's a display vise. And I really, from the pictures he sent and from his descriptions, it sounded very, very interesting. And so I popped on to Amazon and found one for a very reasonable price. And I now have that particular vise in hand. And in fact, I'm going to post on the dojo tonight after we're done recording a photograph that will include that item in it. And I appreciate him helping me spend my money in what I think is actually a productive way.
Well, we joked earlier. I got to ask you here. Is it going to make you faster or more organized?
We're going to find out. I will report back. It has potential for both. We'll see.
All right,
but that's not all. That's not all I bought, and I'm gonna need a ruling here. Can I count the fact that I spent $64.95 plus tip on getting the fact that I had getting Pop-A-Lock to open my car door because I had locked the keys inside because I'd been thinking about modeling projects and I got out of my darn car with the keys still in the ignition and locked the door? Does that count as a modeling expense? I'm going to need a ruling.
I've got to think because my wife has the same car.
It's possible to lock the keys in that car. Let me tell you.
I don't know if it is or not.
I did it today. Did it this morning.
I don't know. At a high level, yes, but I gotta go back and think about that one.
All right. Well, you think about that. In the meantime, I also bought a pair of tweezers. I have managed in probably the last 3 weeks to drop 2 pairs of very fine tweezers.
Yeah.
And you and I have had this discussion before.
And now they're not very fine pairs of tweezers anymore.
The fact that don't buy cheap tweezers where they don't close correctly.
Well, that's
or they
from
don't
the get-go. I mean, if you drop a good pair, you're...
Well, that's the problem. So you and I are the same philosophy. So I buy really nice tweezers. And in the last 3 weeks, I have managed to drop 2 very fine pairs of tweezers and have both of them just get utterly wrecked at the tips.
Yeah.
And so...
I'm sorry, man.
It happens, again, but don't try and bend them back into shape. Don't limp along. Throw them away and go get them because new tweezers, really good new tweezers, are not that expensive.
Not anymore, they're not.
Not anymore.
Yeah, they used to be.
While I was on Amazon buying the display vise, I went ahead and bought a couple of tweezers to replace the ones I'd racked up. And while I was there, I also bought some AK Gen 3 acrylic paints.
Because you're trying to collect the whole set.
I eventually am. In fact, I've been on AK's website.
Pricing the big box.
And you can buy the big box for like $269. And I am still not sure. I'm not going to pull the trigger on that at some point.
I think you should, Dave.
I thank you. I appreciate you.
Chime in, everybody. Tell Dave to pull the trigger.
Yeah, thank you, guys. But so I bought a 4 set of AK Gen 3 that I should have in a few days, and I may use on the Hellcat in some detail stuff.
All right. Well.
So I think that's all the money that I've spent since our last Broke Your Wallet segment, but
pretty good.
I've been on a roll.
Model builders know Basis by Bill for innovative display solutions for any scale model project. Basis by Bill creates custom hardwood bases with engraved or full-color placards that include text, unit emblems, and national insignia, for the perfect finishing touch on your next aircraft, armor, or ship. And when your aircraft project is complete, show it off in style. Choose from aircraft carrier decks from World War II to the modern era, or airfield-style bases that showcase any aircraft. With contest and show season here, Bases by Bill can also craft your club's major awards, plus 1, 2, 3, or gold, silver, bronze. A wide range of styles and options are perfect for clubs of any size and budget. Visit basesbybill.com, because there's always something new at Bases by Bill.
This is the point in the podcast where we ask you to rate the podcast. It helps us grow the podcast, and that's what we're doing. We're continuing to grow, and we appreciate your doing that. In addition, the best way for a podcast to grow is a recommendation from a current listener to somebody who isn't currently listening. So every one of our listeners out there knows one modeler who isn't listening to the podcast, may not even be aware of what a podcast is. Please do us a favor. Find that one modeler in your modeling friend group and recommend us. You help them find how to listen to the podcast, encourage them to listen, let them know what you enjoy about it, and help us continue to grow the podcast.
In addition to that, you can also check out all the other podcasts and blogs in the model sphere by going to www.modelpodcast.com. That's Model Podcast plural. It's a consortium website set up with our help with our friend Stuart Clark of the Scale Model Podcast. He's aggregated all the banner links to all the other shows out there in the model sphere. It's a one-stop shop. You can go there and find all the other podcasts. So please do that. In addition, please check out our other content creator friends. We got a lot of podcast friends, blog friends, YouTube friends, folks like Stephen Lee at Spruik Ride with Frets. He's got a 70-second scale and HO model railroading centric blog. He's got a lot of short form and long form content there.
He dropped some really nice long form content recently.
He does. So check that out. In addition, check out Model Airplane Maker, our friend Chris Wallace. He's got a great blog and a great YouTube channel. If you like aircraft, 48 scale, he's got you covered. Got a lot of great content there. Evan McCallum, Panzermeister 36. If you like armor and model railroading, you can check out his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of great stuff going on. You can learn some great techniques and see what he's up to at his YouTube channel there. If you like 70-second scale, you're going to want to check out the Inchai guy, Mr. Jeff Groves, a good friend of the show. He's always got something going on there. A lot of batch builds along with some historical information on different things like the Loire 130.
And Jim Bates has reactivated a Scale Canadian. It is his blog where he posts interesting, usually historical articles regarding aviation subjects, although armor as well, many with a Canadian focus, but he doesn't limit himself. And we are very happy that he has reactivated this blog.
Is that historical or hysterical?
Both.
And finally, Paul Budzik, Scale Model Workshop. He's put out a few here recently that are really good. So we always like seeing what Paul's up to and check them all out.
If you are not a member of IPMS USA, please consider joining the national organization, even if you're outside the United States. IPMS USA is a great organization, and they have not only national memberships, but international memberships. In addition, if you are an armor modeler or post-1900 figures modeler, take a look at joining the Armor Modeling and Preservation Society. They are a group of modelers who is focused laser-like on the advancement of the armor modeling hobby. Mike, we are almost at the end of the episode. So how was the Bardstown bourbon?
The Bardstown bourbon was really, really good. Now, this is their kind of foundational distill.
Their flagship.
Their flagship, the original series. It's the least expensive. It's less than $40. It's less than $40.
Okay. What's the ABV? Is it a classic 80 or
It's a
85?
96 proof, Dave.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a little hot on the front end.
Yeah, you would expect that
Imagine
with
that.
something.
I tell you, this is good. And what I like about it, the oak is really forward in this.
Interesting.
So you don't get that a lot.
Yeah.
Not to the degree that this one is.
Right.
It's good. I really like it. And I tell you what, it's a square cross-section bottle.
Yep.
Really robust. If I was in a bar fight, I would grab this one. Because,
see, ladies and gentlemen, that's why you listen to Plastic Model Mojo, to know what bottle to grab off the bar in a bar
there's
fight.
just enough neck on it to get your pinky might hang off the end, but you can get your hand around the neck. And this thing, I think if I dropped this from about 2 feet, 3 feet, it would not break. So there you go. Good stuff. Good stuff.
That's my kind of review.
Good oaky bourbon.
Well, I have finished my Elijah Craig. It is 94 proof, so 47% alcohol by volume. It's
the same as mine.
Well, yours is 96, I think.
Yeah, a little bit more, not much.
Mine's 94. The Elijah Craig, very good, and very good for the price point, because this bottle, now I got a little bit of a deal, but this bottle, even at full boat retail, was like $28. It was not that expensive, and it is good. Now, I drank it with an ice ball, and boy, that was the way to drink it, because, again, being something at the 47% alcohol, if you drink it straight without the ice ball, neat, it's a little hot. If you drink it with the ice ball or over rocks or whatever, the hot goes away, and the most forward of the tastes is kind of a vanilla. I don't want to say cinnamon note, because that makes people think it's Fireball, and it's not. There's a vanilla note with just
a spice.
Just the ever so mild spice that reminds me of cinnamon, but it's not like Fireball or anything like that. It's just a note at the end after the vanilla has passed by, where you go, oh, there's a spice. And it's really good. I mean, we've done a long episode, and it was absolutely enjoyable every minute of the episode. Mike, this is the true end of the episode. So do you have any shout outs?
I do, Dave. I want to shout out all the folks who've chosen to contribute to Plastic Model Mojo through their generosity. We've talked about our website, and we want to keep that going. And we've had a lot of activity from folks on that vein, and we really, really appreciate it. Hopefully that's going to help us get this done sooner, not later.
Yep.
And folks, we're not quite there yet, but if that's something you think you might want to do, we'd appreciate it. You do that through several avenues, and those are all spelled out on the website and in the show notes of each and every episode. So if that's something you want to do, we appreciate it. We don't expect it. We don't demand it. And we certainly don't charge people for anything, but we appreciate the contributions that folks have been willing to support the show with. So thank you very much.
Yes, I want to echo that and thank everybody. It really means a lot to Mike and I. And Mike and I are really excited about this phase 2, which will take the website to a whole nother level. And if you want to support that, we appreciate anything you do to help us get Plastic Model Mojo expanded. I'm super appreciative. I'd like to shout out our friend Jim Bates. Jim is a great guy. He's a good modeler. And I don't think he sometimes realizes that he has really important things to say in regard to the hobby that many other people appreciate hearing. And I think that the reaction we've gotten since the previous
Oh, yeah.
episode has proved that. And so I want to shout out to Jim and give him some encouragement and encourage him to take from this a positive and use it to further his own modeling mojo. You got another shout out?
I do not.
Okay, well, then we are definitely at the end of the episode, and I am definitely at the end of my glass of Elijah Craig.
Well, Dave, then, as we always say,
so many kits.
So little time, Dave, and I will see you soon. I need to come to Louisville. And
yes, you do. We need to sit down and talk, man, face to face.
We do. So
yeah.
We'll do it soon, brother.
You got it.